Hi guys, my name is Kirsty and welcome back to Upside Down Books. Today we're going to be doing my TBR jar. So, first of all, I have a new chair, which is really exciting. So it is a little bit more obvious than my previous one in my previous videos, so you'll just get to enjoy catching glimpses of it every now and again with its nice gold and black colour scheme that is going on. But anyway, I really enjoyed doing my TBR jar for my advanced reader copies, my ARCs, last month for April. And it was really successful, and I mostly succeeded in that I read 2 out of 3 of the books that I picked out of the TBR jar, but I chose to read something else instead of the third one, thinking I would maybe also be able to do the third one I picked, but there was a book coming out in April that I wanted to read and review for its release date, so I feel like that was a fair choice to swap that one out. So I will once again be using my TBR jar for my ARCs to choose from. I think there's about 30 to 40 books in here that I need to read that are varying from really recent to several years old, and I'm going to be picking 2 because I am going to roll on my third pick from last month, and I'm going to read that in May and pick 2 others. Now, because I enjoyed this so much, I'm also going to be doing a TBR jar for my entire TBR, and I needed a whole big actual vase in order to be able to do that. So there are about 300 books in here, which I thought it would be more full, but there you go. And I'm not sure how many I'm gonna pick out of here. I'm thinking just 2. I'm just gonna pick 2. That seems really low. I am not sure how much reading is going to get done in May. April has been very different because of the whole COVID situation and isolation. I will still be reading audiobooks. I will be trying to read 3 ARCs, so I think I'm not going to pressure myself too much, and I'm just going to pick 2 books out of my full TBR that I want to try and specifically get around to. I'm really hoping that this will help combat my whole issue for all of my books now, for getting around to books that I always put off, but we're just going to see what happens. So let's crack on and start with my TBR jar for my ARCs. So as a reminder, the book that I will be rolling on into May is Painted to the King by Amy Sackville. This is historical fiction set in the 17th century in Madrid, Spain, and it is all about a painter who comes to court and does all the painting for the court and what he sees and experiences there. So I think this sounds really interesting. I'm definitely a little bit intimidated by this book because I think it's going to be a harder read, but we are going to persevere and we're going to try to read this. And like I said last month, I will be setting aside specific times to read this book and try and get through it so that I don't get bogged down, just in case. Okay, so I have picked another historical fiction. So the first one for May is In a Great Southern Land. This is In a Great Southern Land. It's by Marianne O'Connor. It is historical fiction. This is set in Ireland and it is set in 1851. So it follows a girl called Eve Richards, and after her father dies, she ends up struggling to survive and gets shipped off as a convict to Australia. Well, I don't know, she's not a convict, I don't know, maybe she is a convict. So she ends up in New South Wales, which is on the east coast of Australia, and then she meets another Irishman who is in New South Wales as well. So I do believe she ends up on his farm, working farmland with him, so it's going to be somewhat of a romance. This isn't too long, it's a nice standard book. Oh, actually, I take that back, this is 400 pages. That does not look like it will be 400 pages. I absolutely love the cover for this one because it is green. This really pleases me. This came out at the end of last year, so I am looking forward to reading this one. I'm not entirely sure what to expect from it. This isn't the usual type of historical fiction that I would reach for, which is why I have been putting this one off, because it is more romance orientated and not about characters that are necessarily my age. So we will see whether I end up enjoying this one or not. I am going to be really brutal with these ARCs because if I am not enjoying them, I will be DNFing them. So let's hope that it lives up to expectations. Book number 2. The Honeyman and the Hunter. I am doomed to only read historical fiction. So The Honeyman and the Hunter is one that I'm actually looking forward to, but off the back of 2 other historical fictions, I'm a little bit, it dropped it. But off the back of 2 other historical fictions, I'm a little bit nervous. This came out in April of last year, so it's been out for a year now, and I remember when I first opened the package, I was terrified because it looks like this. It is a tiger's face made entirely out of bees, which I think is horrific and terrifying. Now this is a YA book, and in all honesty, I'm not entirely sure if it's historical fiction or if it is just going to be contemporary. So I think this is set in Australia, and a boy's grandmother, he has Indian heritage, his grandmother arrives from India one day and everything changes for him because a secret arrives with his grandmother as well. So him and his mother end up going back to Bengal on a journey of discovery and danger. I don't know if there are any tigers in this. I really hope that there are. I'm not sure if this is just imagery. I mean, the whole honeyman and the hunter thing would indicate that we're maybe going to be looking at some tigers and a beekeeper. I really don't know what to expect from this. I have heard no one else talking about this book, so I'm nervous to go into it given that I have heard nothing about it. However, it does seem to be Australian fiction, and that never does as well on the global stage. So it's not too long, but whether I get around to it off the back of 2 other historical fictions, we'll be curious to see. Okay, so ARC's picked, let's move on to my normal TBR. I am so excited for this because there are so many books. There are so many books in here. In fact, actually, I need to add some more. Okay, so I've just added a couple of others because I have acquired 3 more books since I made this, so I need to fill them in. What I've decided I'm going to do is that when I read the book and I pick out the tag, I'll cross it out and I'll write any new books on the back of it so that I don't have to keep printing and cutting because, oh my god, this took forever to do. Into the lucky dip. I'm so scared. Oh, okay, now that's an interesting one. This is something I've been picking up for ages, and that's Bridget Jones's Diary. I am actually really excited to read this. I think this is going to be really entertaining. It's a really small book. Okay, I'm not entirely sure which bookshelf my copy of this book is on. I think it might be on my other one, so I will just display a picture for you so you can see that. But I mean, who doesn't want to read Bridget Jones's Diary? I don't know what to say. I think this might actually be a really fun read. That should be nice and quick. So that was a successful first pick. So let us move on to the second choice for May. Oh, I don't want to read this one. Oh, that's so disappointing. Okay, so I picked out The Cross of St. George. There shouldn't be an S on the end of that. As you can tell, I'm not particularly thrilled about that. That is this tiny little paperback book I have. I mean, of all the books on my TBR, I had to pick out this one. This is just a 300-page historical fiction set in February of 1813. This is part of a whole big series that follows this particular captain. Now, I bought this and one other in the series that was on sale from Booktopia ages ago, thinking I was getting a bargain for some historical fiction, but in reality, I just wanted to buy a book for cheap. So I don't know what this is going to be like. It is about him taking a convoy from Canada. No, something about American privateers, the Caribbean. I think he might be in Canadian waters for this book. I don't know what else to say about this. I suspect I may end up DNFing it, but hey, it's fine. We're just gonna carry on and we're gonna hope for the best. Okay, so that is 5 books, including Bridget Jones's Diary, that I have picked out of my TBR jar for the month of May. I'm really happy about my ARC picks for this month. In fact, I'm happy with most of the books. I'm just not thrilled about The Cross of St. George. So we will see how that goes, and we will pray that all of these are good. I'm a little bit upset that none of this was some YA fantasy. This is all heavy-going historical fiction, but I guess there is only one way to get these off my TBR, and that is to read them. So keep an eye out for my end-of-month wrap-up for May if you want to know how I went with this, or how I'm going to go with this, and whether I got around to reading them and if I liked them. So do keep an eye out for that video, but other than that, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.